There is a version of you that exists only in pain. Real pain. The kind that lives in the deepest muscle fiber of the human body. Most people will never know that version of themselves, but Olympians live there. They train there. They eat and sleep and dream there, in the very place where ordinary human beings tap out, curl up, and go home. This is about them, and this is about the numbers, the times, the distances, the margins, the cold, indifferent arithmetic of what it actually takes. Because when the world watches a race, most people don't understand what they're watching. They only see the result. They don't see the decade. They see the finish line. They don't feel the last 100 meters. They see a man cross a line and think, how fast? They should be thinking, how much? What does it take to run 100 meters in under 10 seconds? 10 seconds. That's the average person's attention span between checking their phone. 10 seconds is nothing until you try to run 100 meters inside of it. At 9.58 seconds, Usain Bolt holds the world record. At his top speed, 44.72 kilometers per hour. At 6 feet 5 inches of pure human architecture, every system synchronized to a degree that takes years to understand and a lifetime to execute. And he made it look like he was enjoying himself. What you weren't seeing was the 10,000 repetitions that built the mechanics behind that smile. Bolt made chaos look like grace. That's not a gift, that's a craft. The 200 meters, Bolt again at 19.19, is its own event entirely. You carry speed into the curve. You manage it, bank it for the straight, too tight on the bend, and you bleed momentum. The 200 is chess at a sprint. Geometry at full throttle. Noah Lyles knows this better than anyone alive. The loudest man in a sport full of loud men, who fights as hard for its visibility as for his own place in it. Lyles understands what the 200 separates. Speed from stamina for speed. Anyone can go hard for 10 seconds. Can you go hard for 19? Can you go hard for 43? Wade van Niekerk, 43.03 seconds. Rio 2016. And he ran that race entirely in lane 8, the outer lane, where you could not see anyone. No psychological benchmark to chase. He ran his own race because his own race was the only race he could see. Most of the men who ran that final had world-class times. Most of them couldn't find him on the track. 43.03, a world record that nobody has come within half a second of in almost a decade. The 400 meters is often called the most painful event in athletics. The 100 is over before the body can protest. The 800 gives you time to manage suffering. The 400 gives you neither mercy. Too far to sprint, too short to slow down, your lungs revolting, your legs questioning their life choices. The whole thing happening in front of tens of thousands of people who have no idea what you're going through. And then there is Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who does all of that with 10 barriers in the way. Her 50.37 at Paris 2024 is the fastest any woman has ever run the 400 hurdles. And then in 2025, she won the flat 400 world title in 47.78 seconds, the second fastest flat 400 ever run by a woman in history. She is doing to the one-lap events what Bolt did to the sprints. Quiet confidence, her friend Alison Felix called it, the kind that demands your attention without asking for it. David Rudisha, London 2012, 1 minute, 40 seconds, and 91 hundredths. Still the world record. 14 years later, in a sport that breaks records almost seasonally, the 800-meter world record has stood longer than some of the athletes running the event have been alive. He crossed the line and smiled. The wide, unhurried smile of a man who had done exactly what he planned. And then on the women's side, there is the ghost. 1:53.28. Jarmila Kratochvilova, Czechoslovakia, 1983. That time has stood for over 4 decades. Set the same year Sebastian Coe ran 1:41.73 in the men's event, and his record has been broken 7 times since. Keely Hodgkinson, who has run 1:54.87 indoors, is the closest any woman has come in modern athletics. But Kratochvilova's time hasn't moved. Some records are fast, some records are ghosts. The 1:53.28 sits above the scoreboard of every major women's 800 final, untouched, like a dare that nobody has yet answered. Now stop. Step back from all those numbers, because the numbers don't explain anything really. The numbers are the proof. The cost is something else. An Olympic sprinter is at the track before sunrise, every morning without exception. Sprint mechanics alone, where block settings, drive phase, transition, max velocity, each drilled thousands of times until they are not thought but reflex. Weight room 4 to 6 sessions a week. The physio table. The dietary precision that leaves almost nothing to chance. All of it building to a race that lasts under 10 seconds. A middle distance runner carries a training load that would hospitalize most athletes in other sports. 120-kilometer weeks, double sessions, altitude camps at 2,400 meters above sea level, constant calibration of a body that is both instrument and engine. Then 3 rounds in 3 days before the final that matters. A marathon runner destroys and rebuilds the body on a cycle that takes months. And by race morning, the taper feels almost like illness. The body, adapted to maximum stress, doesn't know what to do with rest. 2 days before one of the most physically demanding performances of their life, elite marathon runners feel slow, heavy, wrong. They run anyway. They trust the process because there is no other option. Most will never win. Most will do all of this. The years, the miles, the discipline that borders on obsession, and finish 5th or 10th. Or get injured 2 weeks before the trials and watch it on television. And then start again. So the next time a race flashes across your screen in 9 seconds, the next time a marathon winner crosses the line and, from a distance, looks like he's jogging. Remember Bolt before the final, 40 repetitions before sunrise. Remember Van Niekerk in lane 8 seeing no one, trusting only the clock in his head. Remember Rudisha at 600 meters in London, already in debt to a body that would not let him stop. Remember El Guerroj in Rome, fighting step for step in the final straight of a mile no human had ever run that fast. Remember Sawe crossing 26.2 miles in under 2 hours and saying, "This is not for me alone." These are ordinary people who made an extraordinary choice. And then made it again and again, every single morning, for years. The difference between them and everyone else is decisional. It is the decision to go back, to find the next version of themselves in the place where most people tap out. That's what the Olympics is. A consecration of the years, of the sacrifice, of every cold morning and broken training cycle and race that went wrong. All of it condensed into a few seconds or a few minutes on a track somewhere, under lights with the world watching. They make it look easy because they've done it so many times in pain. They make it look beautiful because it is. These are the real mighty ones. The ones who look at the limit of human possibility and say, "Further, one more time." And then they get back on the track, and they run.